and you dog, and he goes,
You
haha,
dog.
you laugh now.
You laugh. That's right.
On, which I will.
Yes, indeed.
I've got my finger on the launch button as soon as we're done here. the download button.
Excellent.
Years in handheld systems. Well, let me tell you fellas, I've been scouring the Tower of Power much longer than 30 years. Game Boy handheld system. Get what I mean there? I'm not sure. Maybe that went over your head. Anyway,
No, it didn't. Everybody, and welcome to episode 39 of the Retrorents. I am Al.
And I'm Nick.
It is just Nick and I tonight. Travis had to step out last minute. Some family stuff. I think Kyle is also dealing with some family stuff. So it is the two of us tonight. The flying duo, the dastardly pair. Or is it the flying pair and dastardly duo?
The flying dastardly duo.
Pair. Yeah, I like the flying dastardly duo pair.
Duo pair.
Sounds like
Are there four of them then?
Sounds like a superhero fruit. Duo pair. Holy shit. Sorry, how's it going, man?
Going good. Yeah, the summer's finally coming on the way. It's warmer weather, almost.
It was beautiful out there at the end of the day today.
I know, right?
Yeah, it was probably... It felt like it reached high 70s here at one point. It was nice.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, we've had an exceptionally wet and cold spring, so even though it looked like it was going to rain all day today, it kind of warmed up and was nice for the majority of the day. So that was nice. Got to go outside, played with the kids. Parents came up for a visit for a little while.
That's good. Yeah,
so we hung out with them. And then Am went to Home Depot and got a tree. It's a nice one, too. She got a weeping willow.
Ah, nice.
Yeah, she planted that today. And we were saying we'll take a picture of the girls on the first day of school each year, next to the tree and watch them all grow.
There you go.
Yeah, something like that, It's crazy shit you do when you're a parent when you realize, oh my god, time really does go fast.
It's the growing tree.
I mean, Christ, I was thinking of it the other day, like, I think I was talking to Am about it, and I was like, yeah, I just realized the other day, Nick and I have known each other for pretty much 15 years at this point.
Has it really been that long?
Yeah, my internship at your dad's place, so it was more than that. I think I was 20 at the time, so Christ, 17 years. Jesus. Yeah, good times. You gotta come up this way so we can do a Boone's run. Am and I think every time we go.
Boone, yeah, like that's the thing. Like, there's no Thai restaurants like almost anywhere, and it is Thai. It's like
it's a fusion
place that does everything. Yeah.
And it's not going to be as good, and you just walk away sad and
absolutely
disappointed.
It's like, okay, I'm getting a hint of it, but it's really it's like the McDonald's version of it.
it's like watered down Dunkin' Donuts coffee in the afternoon.
It absolutely is. Yeah, totally
like,
watered down. It's just like, this is just not the same.
It
makes me long for the real.
They're making it for us stupid Americans, goddammit, and that's not how I want it.
That's right. I've had real Thai.
Yeah.
Damn it.
Yeah, I mean, people listening, there's no way to describe. There is this little hole-in-the-wall restaurant, little Thai place. If any of you know where Shawnee is, it's a resort up here. It's pretty famous. Tucked away out in that area in this little hole in the wall, and it's one of those, unless someone tells you, you'll never heard of this place. It's not like they advertise or have signs all over. And it's a small place. I mean, as I said, I've known Nick 17 years, and we've been going there since, I met him at my internship. They all took me to Thai for the first time, because I'd never had Thai before. And it really is the closest thing I've ever had to a religious experience, because it changed my life forever.
Well, were you there when the interns decided to go on a Star Wars?
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
And
Yeah,
again,
that was
for
me.
those at home, were you in it too? Okay.
Yeah, that was me. That was
took part in the Star Wars.
me, Shannon, and Jason Madison. I remember that.
Yeah. So basically, what happened was like during one of the summers, because there's basically a heat rating system that he did.
Yeah, this
and
restaurant.
1 through 10. 1 through 10, and like he didn't hold back because, like, you might read some places like, oh, it's like, sometimes restaurant owners might trim back the spice just so it doesn't overwhelm,
Yeah, he didn't give
American
a shit.
taste buds. He did not do that. No, like 10 was death. And I think the highest I ever got, and I call it an accidental 8 because he was messing with us that day.
Oh, he was fucking with us hard. Yeah, we made the mistake of not going for a while, and there was a period of time, and you got to understand, like, we were interns at this point. Well, Nick was more full time, but I was an intern at the same company that his dad ran at the time, so I was making, it was fortunate that it was a paid internship, but needless to say, budget was tight, and I still went there twice a week, and we were going there 2 times a week, and there was like, okay, we might have taken like a week break. And we come back, and the owner comes out, and he's like, "Where were you?" And we're like, "Oh, we just needed a break." And we're like, oh, we ordered the same thing every time. It's this yellow curry, and it's almost like a soup. It's just incredible. It's if you like curry, it has chicken. It has you can get chicken or beef or shrimp. There's potatoes. There's onions, and it is absolute culinary perfection. It's kind of got like a coconut sweet to it, but then the spice,
Yep.
the freaking spice that this guy has, like, so we usually tapped out around 3 or 4. Like, if we hadn't been there in a while, we'd start with a 3.
Average,
yeah, we'd start with a 3, but after we'd eaten there a week or 2, then we'd go up to a 4. And so then one day we're like, oh, we'll take 4 stars, and the owner comes out with with our dish. Puts it down in front of us and goes, "I gave you 4.5 star." And Nick, take it away.
He's like, no. He's like,
yeah,
like this little cackle.
The exact line.
They're like, woo!
I still remember the exact line. You're like, "Oh, Boone, you dog," and he goes, "Ha, you laugh now."
You laugh. That's right.
You laugh now.
And it's like, oh, we were dying. It's like, I think it was snowing out that day.
It was.
We're like, let's stick our head in a snow pile.
I just remember like stirring it, and you could see all the pile of spice just like whoosh. And by the time,
if it was a cartoon, the spoon would have like died in the acid of
yeah, it just started melting. Oh my god! But yeah, it was snowing out. I remember that. And by the time we left, we were like, it was like that scene in Fear and Loathing in Las Vegas. Where we were pouring sweat. Our blood is too thick for the Poconos. Oh, it was terrible. But yeah,
it's such a good place though.
And it's still there. I mean, that place has been there, from what I understand, for over 30 years. It's incredible. But yeah, aside from what you haven't been eating, what have you been playing?
So I've been catching up on Borderlands, obviously with the announcement for PAX. Like, I've been working my way through the Borderlands. I'm in Borderlands 2 now. Finally playing it. This is actually my first time playing Borderlands 2, so it's actually kind of fun seeing the story. Oh yeah.
Okay.
So, participate, actually, enjoying the story and getting up to speed on where things are at for Borderlands 3, which debuted its gameplay just this week, actually.
Yeah.
And
that looks good.
It looks like Borderlands, so it's like, sign me up. It's looking awesome. I didn't want to watch too much for spoiler stuff, but it's like, okay, this looks like Borderlands. They confirmed a lot of stuff. Obviously, no microtransactions, no loot boxes.
Good for them.
I think they do have the standard the shift codes that you get with like it's now in Borderlands 1 and it was a staple of Borderlands 2 and pre-sequel and all that for getting some.
And you can literally find those online. Like...
Oh yeah, they give them out left and right, and they're still giving out codes for all the games so far. You just watch Angie Pitchford's Twitter or Gearbox's, and yeah, it's like it seems like every other week or so they're giving something out. So still live and kicking. Looking forward to eventually playing it, because I think it's September is the launch date right now.
Mm-hmm.
But looking real solid. And again, you can catch a lot of those streams online right now if you're curious about the gameplay and check it out. So highly recommend it if it's made your radar.
Oh, I'm definitely in. I'm all in when that comes out. I mean, right now, the next game that I'm going to be getting comes out in 2 weeks, and that is...
I know what it is.
Total War 3 Kingdoms, baby.
That's right. It got delayed to mid-May.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to that. Got to tell me how it is.
Nick and I have lost many an hour of our lives in Total War.
I think it was Total War. We did like an all-nighter. We're like,
yes.
Okay, it's time to go to sleep. The sun's coming up.
But we just got started.
Just one more turn.
One more. Yeah. Oh my God. Those games.
That and Rome
Total
was an
War.
awesome one. Yes.
Yeah, Rome was great. I remember that was the one where the battle engine really started getting good.
Mm-hmm.
And then Medieval 2 came out, and that's all I freaking played for, way too long. Or no, Medieval 2 came first. No.
I don't know. It was what, Medieval, then Rome, then
Medieval
2.
That's right.
Then Rome 2. Then Total War.
Shogun.
Then Shogun, then Napoleon. And
no. Then it was Empire, then Napoleon.
Oh, Empire, Napoleon. Yeah.
Empire was the one we played the shit out of too.
Yeah, that's what I'm thinking of. Empire Total War.
Yeah, that was the one that had the ships and the colonization.
Oh, yeah,
oh my God.
So fun.
That was insane.
I think one night we set like an entire fleet battle, put all the lines, the ships as a line, first rates everywhere. Just insane cannonry.
Oh, those are good games, man. I don't care. If you're remotely into strategy and you have not played a Total War game, you gotta do that.
I'd say it's a staple up there with Command and Conquer, and StarCraft, and all that. Different. You got more of a outside of a battle sequence because you had the whole
the grand campaign.
The grand campaign. You're taking over. They always had the kind of a similar thing of taking over territories, dealing with a diplomacy portion. I can't remember. Was there researchable tech?
Oh yeah,
out of it. Yeah. I
think but it was kind of like you. Well, in Empire, I think it was based on the buildings that you had. You could unlock more.
Right.
An actual research tree kind of made its way in with the Shogun games, if I remember right. The new Shogun game.
Right.
But ridiculous.
So it was kind of very well rounded. Whereas things like Command and Conquer and StarCraft, where it's here's the battles screen or the multiplayer part, and there was no real advance. There'd be here's a new unit, but there wasn't any kind of research process. Whereas
right.
The Total War's staple is always around kind of this evolution of the era.
Yeah, and there's trading and espionage, and it's really, really layered. It's pretty sweet. But highly, highly recommend it if you haven't played it. Well, that's cool. So you've been playing Borderlands.
And Sea of Thieves released their Tall Tales and the Arena.
This sounds cool. I got to hear more about it.
Yeah, these are totally awesome. So this is I'll start off. This is what really should have been in the game day one, and because it really plays up the whole Pirate's Tale. So starting with Tall Tales, this is so now it's split. Let me back up. Now it's split into what's called Adventure Mode and Arena Mode.
Okay.
Adventure Mode is what has been out all this time. Essentially, you're sailing around the huge map world. Doing, the quest for, treasure or the Order of Souls, killing skeletons and their captains, and then the merchants just, ferrying stuff around, pirate delivery boy. But now with Tall Tales, you actually get there's fully voice acted, you interact with actual characters in the game, both in the tavern. It starts off in a great sequence, great mood music, and it feels like something right out of Treasure Island, where you're in the
very cool.
Admiral Bimbo Inn, and the mysterious strangers, there's gold. You're going after what's called the Shroud Breaker, so it gets you outside of the known world. And he's yes, and he's death awaits you all, type of thing, and it is so mood setting, and then it sends you on this quest to find what's called the Shroud Breaker that will take you to fortune and glory. And oh my God, does it hit all my buttons? Because what'll happen is, is part of like these quests, and I think there's 9 of them, and they each take about an hour so far. So I'm working my way through them. I haven't beat them all yet. But some of them have very Indiana Jones style puzzles.
Ooh.
Without getting too spoiler, like there was one where we were like searching for stuff, and it's like, oh, look for the crab, look around for the 10. And so you have all these, these paintings. So it's kind of similar stuff if you've played, the adventure mode before in terms of like digging up treasure. So it's similar to that, but it's a lot more, next level. Because with the previous ones with just the treasure, is like, oh, go here, dig, and you're done.
Right.
Well, now it's like, okay, here it is. Now, find the lever. And it's like you turn the lever and the secret door opens and you're going through this tunnel. And, like one of them, you come to this sacrifice chamber, and you're like looking around and like, oh, there's these 4 pyres. Like, oh, let's light them up. As soon as you light them up, the door seals you in and the room starts flooding.
Oh, God.
And you have that amount of time to solve the puzzle or you die.
Oh, awesome.
And if you die, you have to do the whole mission over again, which might suck, but at the same time, like you feel that rush of just like
risk reward.
You're going to die.
We are going to die. Oh, that's cool. That is so cool.
Yeah, and there's now I haven't gotten to them yet, but they did tease like there's traps and booby traps, pirate booby traps, like looking for One-Eyed Willie's treasure type stuff. It's like this is the epitome of the pirate experience.
Yeah, what it should have been.
Absolutely, and like this is what it should have been in day one. Day one. And I'm hoping, like, amazingly, all 9 are released. So you can, it's not like a drip feed. Like the biggest fear is like, oh, they're going to drip feed these stuff. So, like, oh, you get 1 mission every month or something like that. And like, no, you got the whole Tall Tale adventure in game right now.
Wow. I might have to pick this up for PC.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. And I'm hoping this will lead to other stories, because if they put in like more stories like this, I am all on board for it. So that I'd say that is like the highlight of the update. Now the other part, it feeds the more competitive side. So this is called the arena, and it's very much PvP oriented. It's basically instead of like the entire giant world map, it randomly selects an area of about like 4 or 5 islands and puts a circle around it. Now before you start thinking, it's like, no, this is not battle royale. Does not keep shrinking or anything like that.
Thank God.
But it has that initial feel of like, okay, it spawns all 4 galleons next to each other. It actually puts more supplies than what you'd have in, say, like adventure mode.
Okay.
So basically makes you battle ready.
Right.
It's only 24 minutes. Like and you might be like, why 24? It's because in the world of Sea of Thieves, an hour passes for each minute of our time.
All right, so it's a battle, a day-long battle.
Yeah, a day-long battle, which is 24 minutes. So now you can go in and say like, I want to play Sea of Thieves, but I don't, because adventure mode, you lose a lot of time. You just sailing wrong. Suddenly it's like 3 hours later. You're like, oh my God, what? Whereas like, what? I got an hour. I can get in 2 matches. I'm going to go do arena. And it gets you right on the combat. It's like I said, you're spawned next to the other
really
galleons
cool.
a little bit. And you have 24 minutes to, you either dig up treasure or you can go full combat. Everything gives you points. The treasure gives you more points. So it still kind of promotes like, hey, you need to dig up the treasure to really try and win.
Oh, wow.
But it opens up that instant competitiveness of Sea of Thieves.
I dig it, man. That's really cool.
Very awesome. I'd highly recommend going in with a crew, like going in with your friends. There is random modes, but it's basically, from what I've scouted, it's a lot of Xbox kiddies.
Oh boy.
It's like, yeah man, and a lot worse, potty mouths and
you suck, noob.
Yeah, you suck, noob. Suck my balls.
Oh God.
So there's that aspect. So, but if you go in with an experienced crew, people you've sailed with before, you will just wreck house, and it's a lot of quick fun.
I gotta see if Iron Hail will be a Sherpa for me. Yeah, I'd like to get back into that. I have it on Xbox Game Pass, but I don't play the Xbox too much. And like, if I want to play a game like that, I'd rather play on PC where I can plug in the headset and do my thing.
Yeah, absolutely, yeah.
But yeah, no, that sounds great, man. I've heard really good things, but I was like, let me wait till the expert arrives before I make an opinion.
Yes. Yeah, at the very least, Tall Tales is definitely worth. I know for a lot of people, they put it back on the shelf because they didn't. They felt there was no content to Sea of Thieves, and to each their own. But now the content is there. At the very least, come back for Tall Tales. Yeah.
All right. Yeah, I'm game, man. I'll see what I can do to make something happen. Maybe I'll see. I think there's a PC Game Pass. Maybe I'll pick that up.
Well, if you have Xbox Game Pass, it's part of that, I believe.
Well, but I want to play it on PC.
It works on PC. Like if you have the pass, because Sea of Thieves is Play Anywhere. So
that's right. So holy shit!
If you have Xbox, it takes Xbox Play Pass, but you can then play Sea of Thieves.
I'm going to be downloading that.
Excellent.
Yeah. So I don't know what you're doing later, but I'll let you know when it's done. I got a good connection now, so it shouldn't take me all night. Oh, awesome! Yeah, I'm game. I was about to do it, but then I don't want to fuck up the recording, so I'll download it after.
Don't do it now.
I'm like foaming at the mouth now that I go to play it. All right. Yeah. No, I'm game, dude. We're gonna get in on this. Awesome.
Nice.
Yeah. I mean, as far as me, I've been playing a ton still of Assassin's Creed Odyssey.
Oh, nice.
I was telling my brother-in-law about it. He's up spending the weekend. And I was like, yeah, dude, I've easily put in more than 100 hours at this point. And then I was like, well, I wonder how much time I have put in. And I pulled up the stats for it on the Xbox, and I've played it for 8.5 days worth of game time. And I have seen maybe 60% of the world. And I still have, I might be, halfway through the storyline at this point. And there's a ton of side quests. There's a ton of things to do. And this is the first game, I want to see and do all of it. It's probably going to take me another year to beat this game, but I will see the whole thing. And I'm not a completionist. I'm not let's get the platinum trophy. I never have been.
Right.
But this game is such a masterpiece. I just don't want to leave the world. I'm having so much fun with it, and there's just... it's an absolutely gorgeous game. I mean, graphically, it's probably the best game I've ever seen. And, if you've played any of the other Assassin's Creeds before Origin, and, obviously Odyssey, and I know I've said this a few times, and I know because I went back to try Syndicate because I'd never played it before, and was instantly reminded how putridly horrible shit the old Assassin's Creed controls are. In comparison,
they are a bit clunky. I remember that.
They are shit. Especially when you play Origins or Odyssey, and they basically went from the worst control scheme to the best. They changed everything around. It's much more action RPG than the previous games, though still just as stealthy. You can get in and ghost a place if you're really smart. But they added, all the RPG elements. You see all the there's tons and tons of different equipment, weapons, legendary items, armor, and it all looks different, and you can look really badass. It's got that feel for me where it kind of clicks all those gotta get it all buttons, and I have Jason's hammer. I felt very accomplished. I found that in a ruin. Yeah, so I got
Jason
the hammer.
The Argonaut, I assume.
Yes, and this hammer makes me feel like Sauron with the ring on. If I just go into a pile of people. And I just hit the heavy swing, you just see him poof, and everybody just flies back. It's great. But yeah, I mean, I can't recommend that game enough. It is really fantastic. Aside from that, it's that time of year where I log back into Lord of the Rings Online to pay my housing bill. And I wound up actually getting back into it. I had, I only intended to log in, pay my housing bill, and jump off. But, they've added so much to that game, and I've had a VIP membership since it came out. I at the time, I mean, the game is, and I know because I just got my veteran award for it, the game is 12 years old, and when it first came out, I dropped $150 for the lifetime access account.
The lifetime, yeah. So you don't, no longer have to have a subscription. It's
right, and I mean they went free to pay or free to play for a long time ago now, and they were the first company to really do it right. And when people saw Turbine all of a sudden making money hand over fist on a game that, you know, everybody had thought was dying, a lot of other multiplayer games jumped on board. But they do it right. It's not in your face, and you can actually grind it out and unlock, you know, quest packs and stuff. But I wound up, you know, with this anyone that had the lifetime access just gets a monthly stipend, if you will, of what they're called LOTRO points that you can use on everything in their store, including expansions. So, like, you know, I have more than I could ever possibly use, but so I wound up picking up the Mordor expansion, because they've completed the story, and now they're adding new content like in the era afterwards. But it's awesome. I mean, out of any game I've ever played, you know, as a very, very long time Tolkien fan, you know, I read the books once a year. This is really the first game where you can walk around the entirety of Middle-earth. It's just awesome. And if you've never played it, it's, like I said, it's free. You got nothing to lose. Just pick it up. It's definitely showing its age at this point, but it is still a pretty nice looking game. But it's really, I mean, and what got me into it this week is because it's the 12 year anniversary. They're very big on in-game events, so it's like a big to do. There's parties and events you can take part in. The one that I'm really loving now, they're actually calling the Remembrance event, and it's all about nostalgia for people that, you know, if you played the game from first level to, I think it's 120 now. But you basically go back to, like, the level 1 areas in the Shire, and it's like, go wave at Gaffer Gamgee, and then that's one part of the quest. Then it's like, go have a beer in the Green Dragon, and you get neat little rewards for that. So it's a great game. Like I said, I played it for a couple days. I'm gonna probably play a little more, you know, over this weekend and do some more quests. I'm still out, and I'm actually in Rohan. I haven't even done the Rohan and Helm's Deep expansion yet. I have it. I just haven't done the content. But yeah, you're basically the people in Middle-earth that are helping the Fellowship as they go, and, like, you know, fighting the battles that are only mentioned in the books, but they're like big things in the game. And
right.
And you help out at Helm's Deep, which is cool as shit. But it's cool because you'll get to see cameos of the main characters, like Aragorn will lead you on a mission early, and Gandalf, you'll see him at points. It's very, very cool. So if you're a Rings fan, go check it out. It's awesome. But yeah, I mean, that's pretty much it for me. I've been playing Odyssey and LOTRO, and I've had a good time. Both highly, highly recommend. But yeah, that's what we've been playing. There have been not a lot of releases, at least none that really caught my eye. I mean, there's the two big ones, obviously, in the past 2 weeks. One of which is Days Gone on the PS4, and I've seen streams of it. It looks fun. I mean, I don't have a PS4, but I would have probably picked it up if I did. I know some of the reviews are complaining, like, oh, it's another zombie post-apocalyptic, post-apocalyptic game, but you know, I sat and watched some streams of it, and it looks like something I would enjoy. It looks like a lot of fun. The you know, mechanics of getting, you know, fixing your bike and making sure it's got gas. Like, I was watching Co play it, Co Carnage, and at one point he was like hunting down a bounty for some guy. And the zombies are people that, like, went nuts on this, like, I don't know if it's like a genetic experiment or something, but they're, you know, the equivalent of zombies now. And he's like creeping in this village looking for him. He's like, I know there's a horde here, and I don't want to alert it. And he did something, he tripped something, and all of a sudden something blows up, and you just hear, roar!
Oh, no.
And, like, he starts running. There's like a small band of them coming after him, and he's shooting them, and, you know, shooting with the gun that he had, and then he's just running. All of a sudden, he hits a dead end and turns around, and there is easily 100 of them just bearing down on him. And I was like, oh, shit, this looks pretty fun. So, yeah, so Days Gone came out. It's gotten decent reviews. I think a lot of reviewers are just, I don't know. I feel like some game reviewers are just getting tired of games in general, don't you?
Yeah, it is a weird thing. It's like, I think I don't know. I don't know if there's necessarily a solution or a way around it because it almost feels like some are like playing a game that they just normally wouldn't enjoy to begin with, and then they kind of trash on it or just find everything wrong with it. It's like that's not the way to go about it. Like, granted, if it's for a publication, obviously you that's your job. You're kind of forced into it, obviously.
Yeah.
But when it comes to like almost anything else, it's like play something you're gonna enjoy. It's like, and if you're not gonna enjoy it, then don't play it. It's like if small mobile games are not your thing, then don't do that. But that'll be someone else's cup of tea, so to speak. Yeah, and even down to like certain genres. Like, okay, maybe FPSs aren't your thing, so don't play them. It's like, of course you're not going to like it. Of course, you might give it a low review, but that doesn't make any sense. Like, maybe you're more into RPGs or RTSs or something like that. Yeah. I mean, I feel like it's along those lines. So I don't know if it's necessarily they're tired of reviewing games. It's just maybe they're tired of reviewing games that genres they don't like.
Or even if it's one they used to like it and now they don't anymore.
Yeah, and like, your taste change. Like, that happens.
Yeah, I mean, if you're doing it for a job, okay, but like if you're doing this, willfully, and you're kind of trashing the game because it's this topic again, or this whatever again, it's like, okay, so you might be done with the topic, so hand it over to somebody who's not, and let them review it on a kind of a straighter basis. Because if you're sick of zombie games and you're going to review a zombie game, it could be the best game in the world and you're just not going to like it.
And
so
I think, and then another thing is like, for us who like have experienced a lot of games, like, and I kind of catch myself doing this sometimes, is like, we've seen all the Call of Duty. So like, for me, like when I'll pick on Call of Duty, but it's like, for me, I've gone through so many Call of Duties, I'm sick to death of them. It's like, okay, they come out every other year. It's like, the next Madden type of thing.
It really is.
And it's like, you're really not bringing anything new to the table. Now, that being said, it's like, there's always a new player to bring in. It's like someone who's younger, obviously, and that's what they cater to, and or they've never grown up with these games, so this is actually their first.
This is new for them. Yeah,
and it's like, okay, if you take it from that approach, like, how good is the game to actually play? But maybe it's a matter of like, hey, I'm experienced. I've played is it an actual better game, or is it just more of the same, or what are we dealing with here?
Yeah,
so it's like, I'm trying to think of a situation where like one of the previous games was better. It's always weird because like it always seems like with movies, like the sequels can be like hit or miss or something in like a franchise, whereas like games, usually the latter ones will get better. Like there's always the risk that like, oh yeah, you're gonna run into a dud or something like that,
right? But you're kind of expecting that it will be better in some fashion.
Right. I mean, you can say, it's like
I think with movies, like, you go into a sequel of the movie going, I just hope it's as good as the first one or close to it.
Yeah, true.
Right. Whereas a game, you're like, I really want to see them do this better, or do that better, or do this better. You want to see that they've learned, that they've learned something.
Like I want to see, I think there's a little bit of like, I want to see more of what happened the first time, but it's definitely like, oh, this is better, or this is a better interface, or like, your Assassin's Creed, like Odyssey is getting better and better.
It's a masterstroke. Like, and, it's a perfect example of how you can breathe new life into a series that people, myself included, were like, this series is done to death. I was like, I'm not going to get Odyssey. And then I watched a stream of it. And I'm like, oh my god, these controls, they're like the Origin controls. And if you liked Origin, and I was like, fuck, I loved Origin. And they're like, it's twice as good as Origin. I was like, fuck, purchase.
and you can even like go back and say like, it's like Black Flag, a must play of the series.
Oh,
like go back and at least play that one. If you've never played anything, it's like, enjoy Odyssey now, but like maybe when Odyssey is finished, like go back and play Black Flag, because that's a very, very good one.
Although Odyssey, I would say even though there's not cannons, I would say the ship battles in Odyssey are even better.
Ship battles are good. Okay, cool.
They're even better than Black Flag.
That's making me want to like, I gotta check this out, because give me good ship stuff. It's like, sign me up in it.
The ship battles in Odyssey are a rush, and instead of cannons, you've got archers, and you can do like fire arrows, and you can hit weak spots of the ship, and all the nautical stuff still applies. It's just you don't have the cannons, and the boarding is a blast still.
Nice.
Yeah, nothing's better than Sparta kicking the captain right off the boat. That's an actual skill, the Sparta kick.
You kick him off the boat.
Yeah, and it is the straight up, "This is Sparta!" Bam! And you just kick him halfway across the map. Yeah, it's good shit. But, yeah, I mean, I think you nailed it, man. I think a lot of reviewers, if you're tired of that kind of genre and you have a choice, well, hand it off to somebody else that may not be. Let an honest take on it. Because I can tell you what's happening. I find myself doing it. Because I might have one or two reviewers now that I'll kind of follow, see what they think, but they're not my, like, all right, now I'm going to go get it. It's like, I'm going to go watch somebody play it on a stream for a bit that I like to watch, that likes the same games I do.
Exactly, yeah.
I
mean, that's kind of a good thing to do in for almost anything where there's a review. It's like, find someone who aligns with your taste, and it's like, okay, use them as kind of like a watermark, and the thing is, be prepared, like, sometimes they can be, they can miss something on something that, maybe has your interest.
Sure.
But yeah, like, if you find someone who's like, yeah, I like the games they like, find that person and kind of align with what they have. Don't, don't find the random one who's just, trashing out for trashing sake. Like,
yeah.
Because I feel like that's a thing now. It's like the
everybody likes it, so I gotta trash it.
Yeah, exactly. Either that or like, I just gotta trash everything because people like to see me trash stuff. Like,
yeah.
I have a hard time getting behind that. It's like, you
might
get a few yucks out of it, but ultimately, it's like, okay, this isn't a realistic, review. You're just being totally, negative about the whole thing.
Yeah, so, like I said, if I had a PS4, I'd probably pick it up. I mean, just from watching it on streams, and that's the thing. I know a lot of people are hesitant about that because it's like you don't want to ruin the story, but you don't have to stick around long. I mean, you watch a game for a good 20 minutes and you'll have a good impression whether or not it's for you. Especially if you wait a couple days to where they're in the game and it's like out of the tutorial sections and you can really get a good look at all it has to offer. It should give you a pretty good take as to whether or not you're going to like it. Which brings me to the next release, which the other big one that came out is Mortal Kombat 11.
Ah, yes. Yeah. I keep seeing all like the fatalities, like, wow.
I mean, yeah, and holy shit, they are marketing the hell out of that game.
Oh, yeah, I know, right?
Again, from what I've watched, I haven't picked this up yet. I loved Mortal Kombat 10. Absolutely loved Mortal Kombat 10. The combat towers and the stuff that they added in the multiplayer challenges and all the events they did, it was great. And it does, from what I've seen, Mortal Kombat 11 has more of that. I've heard Jeremy from Bad Fodder Figures, who's a big MK fan. He said the fighting is awesome, like the gameplay and stuff is great. But he's in agreement with a lot of what is being said about the game, which is it's got that that conscious but subliminal push for microtransactions. Because you can basically, through these challenges, you can get some loot to unlock. There's tons of, I guess, customization and costume pieces for each character. And there's some great, there's a lot of great ones. But if you want to get like an actual set that matches, you're going to be grinding or paying money to get it. And it's kind of a sleazy push. At least it was in the beginning. I've heard they're actually doing something to address it. Because I guess it was
good.
a little too obnoxious. But, I mean, other than that, again, just from a gamer perspective and looking at the footage I saw, the game looks fucking great. It looks, like more over-the-top Mortal Kombat, rip your heart out, eat it, kick your spine in half. I mean, if you like the games, I'd say since Mortal Kombat 10, it's been going in a really awesome direction for the series. The fighting mechanics and the tutorial in this, that's what I actually watched a stream of. This is the first one that the tutorial really gets you into the nitty gritty of actual playing a fighting game. Like it shows you how to do like real counters and timing your stuff just right. And I was like, shit, I mean, even that alone is going to make you a better player. The way they show you in the tutorial, it's not just here's how you do a kick and here's how you do a jump. Like they explain to you, why you block and where you counter and how you counter this. I was pretty impressed.
Nice.
For somebody
it kind of guides you a little bit more than the usual, just like, have fun.
Yes, totally. Yeah, it definitely gives you some more pointers than your average tutorial. So I was really impressed with that, actually. Yeah, so I'm probably going to pick it up on a sale. Maybe wait till a DLC or two comes out, and then I'll grab it.
Now who publishes that?
Neversoft or Nethersoft.
Nethersoft, okay.
Oh, yeah, well, I got something about them in the news. Got a little beef with them.
Oh, okay.
And speaking of that, that is all that we have on the release highlights this week. I did not take time to look at the games for gold titles or Game Pass. Well, actually, I did. The games for gold titles did not woo me because I've already forgotten what they are. Games with Gold, I should say. But Game Pass, the big addition this week that I was pretty happy to see, Prey is now on Game Pass. And I haven't played that yet.
Is that the new one?
Yeah.
From Bethesda? Yeah.
Yes.
I think it was Bethesda.
Yep.
Okay.
So the new one that came out, that's now on Game Pass, and I never got a chance to play that, so I'm gonna probably check that out. But the one I was more stoked about because I haven't played it, and just hearing Captain Mike talk about it at one point, it sounded so absurd. And that's Wolfenstein 2, New Order or something like that.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's on Game Pass now, and I haven't played that yet, so I'm gonna.
Yeah, that looks a lot of fun. I've been meaning to get around to picking it up and playing it finally. But yeah, from what I've seen of it, it's just like hilarious action.
Yeah, it's Michael Bay game.
Yeah, that's a great way to put it. Yeah, it's a very Michael Bay type.
Yeah, so I'm probably gonna grab that on Game Pass. I'll tell you what, man, that Game Pass is the best thing Microsoft has ever done, hands down.
Oh, absolutely, yeah.
So yeah, digging it.
It's a great way to advertise games, and obviously, like things like Sea of Thieves, where it's like it's part of their stable of
yeah. If it's anything they publish, automatically goes there. Yeah, day one.
Yeah, it's like what a great way to really set that.
And they sell it wicked cheap too on Game Pass. You get a pretty sizable discount to buy the game if it's going off Game Pass and you want to keep it, because it generally stays there for a while. It's usually on Game Pass for maybe a couple months. And as they're getting ready to switch it out for something else, you can get it for a really good price. So if you've been on the fence about Game Pass, I kind of recommend checking it out. It's a damn good deal. But yeah, so on with that, we will now head into the news. And I will just start out the news by saying something very respectful in Sherry Wook. Rest in peace, Peter Mayhew.
Indeed, rest in peace.
We lost a great one this week. Peter Mayhew,
74, I think.
Yes. Yep, 74. The original actor in the Chewbacca suit. He passed away Friday, I think it was. Thursday or Friday?
I think it was announced Thursday, but his death was actually on Tuesday. So he died in his home, surrounded by family and friends.
Good way to go out.
Good way to go out, and not atypical for the announcement of the death to come a little later.
Right.
But yeah, definitely. I think you definitely saw throughout the Star Wars community as a whole, just like, oh man, another legend lost.
Yeah, Hamill was pretty upset. Mark Hamill. He had a nice tweet to him. It was a very nice tribute. Yeah, it's just a nice reminder to people like me and Nick that we are getting fucking old.
I know. That's what it feels like, man. It's like I don't know. Celebrity deaths never really get to me, but I don't know. I'm trying to remember. I want to say when Leonard Nimoy died, that was
a tough one.
I really got choked up that day because, I say grew up with this character. Granted, it was in reruns and whatnot for me.
No, but
I
still
grew up with the movies. But it just it was such a role model, and I'd almost say second father, type of thing. And even though I never got to meet him or really know him on a personal level, but I don't know, just something about the characters they play, man. It's just
yeah, and the person that he was. I mean, you really got a good idea of that based the way on he spoke at conventions or interviews.
Mm-hmm.
Just a good guy. He's a worthy person to emulate.
Absolutely.
I already have my bereavement time set up for when Sean Connery passes.
Oh man, if that happens, GG. It's I'm just calling out that day. It's I will say
my uncle died. I will say my uncle died, and I'm taking a day off.
That's what it's gonna feel like, man.
Yeah, that's gonna be a tough one. But yes, we lost the great Peter Mayhew. And so, boy, the news doesn't get much better here, folks, so strap in.
Oh, boy.
It was announced this week that the creative director and the two more of the main creative forces behind Anthem have been tasked off the game. They've been taken off the game to go work on Dragon Age 4. I will say not highly unusual. Usually after a game's release, some of the creative team will get retasked to go work on other games. And then they'll have somebody that runs kind of the live version of the game and bring enhancements to it, but not all of them.
And it's also kind of a sign like, okay, there's no, I say, longevity to this. Like,
no.
they're not going to, like, because if like you said, it's not an uncommon thing, but it's not uncommon when they're done making the game, period. So at this point, if there's DLC, which I'm sure there will be of some sort, but it's basically lock, stock, ready to rock type of thing.
Yeah, sounds like
going
they're
through bug testing and whatnot, but it's built, and that's the end of it.
It sounds like they're kind of throwing up their hands, and it's sad because when you look at the roadmap, I mean, they had the right plans for it, and I kind of thought it was going to be a Sea of Thieves situation because, again, the framework is there for a good game. The combat and the flying, and the combat there is fun. But, I mean, yeah, unfortunately the game does have a lot of problems.
And I think this was brought up. I think we were talking about it. I don't think we brought it up in the last podcast, but basically it's been, officially stated that it's technically early access now.
Yeah, they've officially said that.
Launched. Yeah, and I don't think I've ever seen a game.
I've never seen that.
Do this.
I've never seen that.
Closest thing, it's kind of the thing that picking on tonight, but like Sea of Thieves was definitely. I wouldn't say it felt like early access, but it was definitely like this feels very empty and
they never said it. They never said this is early access, and we made you pay for that.
Yeah, they're certainly not the only ones to do this. Like many games as of late, and I think we've kind of stated this in our previous discussions on the cast, that like all these games are releasing in a state that are super early. They're either super buggy, they're missing stuff, and like over a period of 6 months to a year, it's like, okay, they finally get everything that should have been in there to begin with, and it's like, okay, now the game feels more complete, and like you can pick it back up again, play it or whatever, or if you're a diehard, it's like you're getting this new life breathed into it. But yeah, it's like the fact that it's like, you know what, we're technically early access. How about we go with that? And
now we're gonna take the creative guys off it.
Yeah, we're gonna take the creative guys off. Oh, and no refunds.
Yeah,
no refunds.
Good lord. Yeah, so Anthem is definitely going to go down as what not to do in the gaming industry. I think we're going to see that referenced in the future a lot. Yeah, so there's that news. There was also another article this week. We've been talking about Game Crunch in the past couple episodes, developer crunch. And some Nethersoft developers have come out and, again, spoken about just some horrible, horrible crunch practices and atmosphere, for I think it was for the last Mortal Kombat game, but it's not hard to imagine that it wasn't any different for this one. And one guy was saying he was doing 100-hour weeks for 4 months.
Whew.
I mean, that's insane. 100-hour week anytime is insane, and you should never do more than one in a sprint.
Yeah, it should be like I don't know, like it's kind of a development thing in general. It's not exclusive to games. I've seen it in the business world as well, and we're like, there's always an assumed crunch time right before a project launches. But I would say, like, from what I've seen on the business side of things, like it's a week, maybe 2 weeks at most. When it's
two at
like,
tops.
Yeah, it's like that's it. Whereas like the gaming ones, like it seems to go on forever.
Yeah,
like, it's just like 4 months leading up to it. It's like you can't work people that hard. Like, there's this phrase that I think it was if you ever seen it, Picard tweets or whatever it is. It's always like it's kind of like those day quote a day calendars type stuff that happens to come out. And one of the things that it always it's like, what, that's absolutely right, is like if your ship is constantly at red alert, it's not red alert.
And that's true. And I mean that, like, these companies, and the sad part is, like, they have contractors in their QA department. They're like, oh, but think of all that overtime, and they're like, yeah, but the one woman that was working QA there said, "I'm like, what good is the overtime and the money if I can't even have time to fucking do anything?"
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
So that shit just has to stop. So yeah, that's another reason I've kind of held off buying the new Mortal Kombat. I'm really starting to think, like, do I want to support companies that do that? And right now the answer is no. I want to start seeing companies treat their teams a little better. I mean, that's not even treating people like humans. That's like, I don't even know what you call that, but that is subhuman treatment.
Yeah, agreed. And like for me, it's like I would rather wait. Like, you know, and I truly mean that. Like when things get delayed, it's like yeah, I'll have an initial like, oh, it's like it's not coming out when it is. But I know in the back of my mind, it's like, okay, hopefully they're doing this to make the game better.
Yeah.
And I'd like to see that maybe more in the future or something of like, okay, hopefully this means like the devs can have a regular, you know, life and regular work hours.
And look at Total War. I mean, I would say Rome, even Shogun, they needed another 3 months in the oven, and they released in March. You know, I'm glad to see, you know, maybe that is giving their developers time to breathe and, you know, find the last bit of bugs and stuff, whatever, but it's just got to stop. Like, these are people, and there are stories of them, like, having nervous breakdowns and physical breakdowns and, like, serious health events because they're not getting sleep. Like, and they can't say no because they got to feed their fucking families. Like, there's some kind of enslavement there. I just don't know how to legally, you know, say it, but it just doesn't seem right. But, all right. So, the other news item was the Sea of Thieves update, which Nick gave us all the scoop on, which I will.
Yes, indeed.
I've got my finger on the launch button as soon as we're done here. the download button.
Excellent.
Yeah, I'm really looking forward to that. I'm just going to pull up the tweets. We don't have a save point game of the month yet. I'm waiting for a chance to talk with Kyle, get a few things together, and then we'll do it. We'll post it in the save point, and we'll be back on, you know, playing the save point games, game of the month. So. Where's our question of the week? I think this is it. All right, perfect. All right, so that means we will be jumping over to the question of the bye week and the voicemails. So we will start the question of the bye week with the voicemails and the save point, and we do have one tweet on Twitter, and then Nick and I will give you our take after that. But the question of the bye week is, with the Game Boy turning 30, what
feel old.
I know, speaking of feeling fucking old. Oof. What memorable games or memories do you have with the system or the other handhelds? And if you, like our two callers tonight, would like to leave a voicemail, whether for a question of the bye week, or you just want to rant at us or tell us we suck or we rule, especially if you tell us we rule, we'll send you flowers. You can dial 610-810-1654 on your rotary phone, and you can leave us a voicemail. Now, there is a sizable selection of people that just went, what's a rotary phone? Okay, let's jump over to the voicemails. This might sound a little choppy because I had to do some editing because, as usual, I didn't have it properly set up for the voicemail. But yes, we will go to the voicemail answering for the question of the bye week about the Game Boy turning 30. Let's take it over here to Mr. Holy Headshot, Chris himself.
All right, you know what? I told myself I was going to talk quick, do the Micro Machines guy thing, and try and wrap things up so I didn't get cut off, and I got rudely interrupted again. Anyway, before I got cut off, sorry, guys.
Oh, shit.
Number two, hold on.
Yes,
yeah.
There's supposed to be another 2 call. This I won't edit out, because people do deserve to see what a freaking idiot I am sometimes. So let's start with Mr. Chris's first call. God, I'm a moron.
Retrorents! 2 weeks in a row. Welcome back, Travis, again.
I thought it was Fred at
You're
first.
on a streak, I'm on a streak. We're going to have to keep this up, buddy. Every time you're on, I will call. How's that for a deal? Get that contract signed and sent over my way, and I'll put my John Hancock on
Signed,
it for
sealed,
you.
delivered.
Hey, that'll cost you extra. So, question of the bye week. You guys talked about Game Boy. Love it. I actually did not have a Nintendo, Super Nintendo, Game Boy was the first, like, current gen system that you could say that I had. I did also have a Game Gear. I appreciate that you didn't have to plug in the Game Boy or hook it up to a car battery to get it to last more than 10 minutes like you did the Game Gear that ripped through batteries. I had a lot of good memories with it. I got Game Boy the year that it came out for Christmas, and it was awesome. I think I got the Mario game. Of course, it came with Tetris and the generic Nintendo Baseball, which was actually kind of cool.
Mm-hmm.
And then I actually remember getting Motocross Maniacs and Castlevania shortly after.
Yes.
Loved those. Downside was definitely, everybody's going to say the lighting. You had to be in the exact perfect light. You know, you try playing that in the car, and it's only every 50 feet when you pass under a street light you can see what you were doing. But also,
that's why I wear glasses.
I thought the input lag was horrendous on it. I mentioned Castlevania, and that was one of the biggest offenders, trying to figure out bosses and levels and stages and timing your jumps in that game just seemed, not that there wasn't input lag on the NES and SNES, but it seemed much more egregious on the Game Boy.
Definitely.
So, I can't wait to hear your guys' thoughts on handhelds. Did you guys have a Lynx? Did you have an N-Gage? Did you have a Game Gear, or was it limited to Game Boy? Would love to hear what you guys are going to discuss when your show releases. I did keep up with future iterations. I grabbed a Game Boy Advance Japanese import before it released in the U.S., and I actually modded it and put a backlight in. It was like 2 solder points, which I was nervous about, but it worked. So, very cool. I kept up, like I said, up until, I think DS was about the time I tapped out. They were getting too bulky, and that was when my kids were getting into them, so it was buying them for them versus me. So they won out. Before I let you guys go, quick question. You touched on backlogs last week. Travis, that's so cute, 200 games on Steam. I wish I was at that point in my life again. Thank you, Humble Bundle, for messing that up for me.
Yep.
I had a funny thing happen to me. Al, as you know, we're into the Assassin's Creeds, the Odyssey.
Yes.
I got AC3 remastered with the gold version of Odyssey.
Me too.
Love it. I've gotten sucked into the lore. And one of the things I found is that I'm focusing my backlog on my Uplay library because there's so much less clutter in there.
And that's where he got cut off. I'll go to his next call, but I also got the gold version, and the AC3 remaster is very good. They didn't remaster the controls, though. God damn it. Here's the rest of Chris's call.
All right, you know what? I told myself I was going to talk quick, do the Micro Machines guy thing, and try and wrap things up so I didn't get cut off, and I got rudely interrupted again. Anyway, before I got cut off, sorry guys, the question I was leading to was, has anything like that happened to you where you found yourself drifting in different directions with your backlog and something similar spurred you in a different direction? I skipped AC2, Assassin's Creed 2, because at that point Ubisoft was doing an always online DRM, and I didn't have the internet to make that work. And now, since the AC3 remaster has come out, I find myself wondering if I'm going to go back and hit some of those titles and
Black Flag.
catch up on the lore, because I'm really enjoying what's going on in 3, and obviously enjoy Odyssey and Origins, which I still need to finish at some point. So, Al, hopefully you get back on in Division. I will be max level by the time you're playing this on the podcast, so let's get in there, buddy. If you're not maxed out yet, then I'd be happy to jump in and do some missions with you and help get you there. Huge shout-out to my buddy AZ Rockslide for pushing me ever closer to max level. Love the show. Love hearing Travis back. Can't wait to hear the Fab Four reunited if Kyle would stop taking vacations. But love what you guys do. Have a great week. Can't wait to hear the next show. Take it easy, guys. God bless.
Take it easy, Chris. Oh shit, even they're busting Kyle on the vacation thing now. Oh, all right. So let's address question 1. You know, as far as our handheld memories. Nick, I'll let you go first. You got any? You got a good handheld system memory to share?
So, yeah, my first was the Game Boy as well. In terms of handhelds, I'm trying to remember. I think I had, like, technically, in terms of like ownership within the family, I think the Game Boy was the first Nintendo product in the house, and we got a Nintendo soon afterwards. Obviously, I always played like Nintendo at a friend's house or something like that. But yeah, sure. I think I kind of followed the same route. Yeah, there's always the classic, Tetris, Mario World. But I had a few others. I had the Empire Strikes Back game from Capcom, which I think mirrored what eventually ended up as part of the series, like the Super Star Wars on Super Nintendo. I can't remember if they made an Empire Strikes Back of that, but it was,
yes, they did. They made all three.
Kind of the same vein. So and I remember that took me forever to finally beat, but I did.
Oh wow.
And very much so, like kind of the same thing. And now I had the advantage of storing up all my summer lawn mowing money, and getting one of those crazy light apparatuses that you kind of Frankenstein on, snapped it on. Took 4 AA batteries. The thing was a monstrosity, but that allowed to actually see it at night in the car. And it was a point in time when we used to live out in the Midwest, and so with a huge family, flying was not really a thing. So we would drive about 17 hours over the summers to the grandparents' house out here in Pennsylvania. And what do we have for entertainment? Our Game Boys.
That's really cool. Yeah, I mean, God, Game Boy was my first handheld. My uncle had gotten it for me as a present after my last leg surgery, and it was I had surgery during the blizzard or it was shortly before the blizzard of '93.
Yes.
So there I was in full casts, up to my thigh on both legs. I couldn't go out and enjoy the snow, so I was already kind of depressed. I think I was in 5th grade, but my uncle went out, picked me up a Game Boy, and he was like that, not that he was rich, but he was single and lived in a shack and just threw 20s at me for no reason. And so he wound up picking me up a Game Boy, and in this small pack that came, he had a bunch of games with it, all put in this pack that I could just keep by the bedside and have it all organized. But yeah, I had, obviously like everybody else, I had Tetris. I had a Scrabble game that was actually pretty fun. I had Final Fantasy.
Oh yeah, the Final Fantasy was so good.
Yeah,
was that I forget which number it was, but it was the one where you went inside the body, right? You remember that?
I don't remember now.
I want to, or maybe it was Tactics. Maybe it was Final Tactics.
This was
3.
This was Mystic Quest. You're thinking 3, where you can go inside the giant worm, I think. But yeah,
it was you'd go inside. They shrunk you down with magic, and I remember going inside.
Maybe
the body.
I did have that one. Yeah, I had Final Fantasy Legend, and there was another one that I had. I had a Dragon Warrior or 2, or Dragon Quest. I had some other games I don't remember now. I did have that Castlevania game, Chris, and it's funny. I kind of forgot about it. Yeah. I forgot about it till you mentioned it, but that input lag made that game a royal bitch. Oh boy, did that make that game tough. But yeah, I remember that system very, very fondly. I had a lot of fun playing it, and it was a great distraction, when my ankle itched so goddamn bad and I couldn't get to it, and I was, practically shoving anything I could down the... and it didn't... Well, yeah, exactly. And I found out when they cut the casts off to put half casts on, that I was allergic to the netting that they had inside it. So,
oh no.
Yeah, and I had itching to the point at points where I was ready to just chew the fucking cast off, and it was rough. But that Game Boy was a really awesome distraction from that, and it's one of the reasons I always remember that system really fondly. And it just great system. I mean, I played Tetris like a madman. I don't know anybody who didn't. But yeah, good question there, Chris. I guess we'll move on to the backlog, Nick. Have you ever had how did we say this? A game that kind of pushed you back to play some of the other titles in a series that had come before?
Oh, like play an early one, then go back or
play a later one and then go back to an early. Yeah.
I'm trying to think. Usually I feel like I've played everything in order. And nothing really comes off the top of my head as to I take that back. Guild Wars 2.
Okay.
It was the new MMO was coming out. I think I'd done a few beta weekends, and I ended up going back and actually playing Guild Wars 1, which was still a lot of fun.
And I did that with you. I remember.
Yes, same thing.
Now that I mentioned that, I couldn't really think of one. Now that you mention that, though, because I remember we both were in the beta for Guild Wars 2.
Mm-hmm.
And we're like, oh, let's check out the other one. I think it was free. So we're like, yeah, let's check it out.
Yeah.
We did, and I remember, like, we played that for a good couple nights. Like, I remember getting into that quite a bit. Yeah, I would say Guild Wars would be my answer as well. I remember we got into the beta for the second one. We were so stoked about it, and I was like, oh, maybe we should see what happened before.
And see what the first one's all about.
But yeah, that's definitely one that comes to mind for me. Other than that, I guess technically you could say I remember my mom had picked up Quest for Glory 3 for me, and I didn't realize I hadn't played the original since my friend's Amiga, and I didn't realize it was the third game in the series. In that series, I started playing. I'm like, man, this reminds me of that game. And then I realized, oh my god, it is that game. It's further in the series, and that's when I went and picked up the rest of the series and got completely hooked on that.
Nice.
Yeah, so that one comes to mind. Unfortunately, Chris, the Fab Four did not reunite tonight. Travis was with us for about 2 minutes, and then he had to go take care of the kids. But he will be coming back on for sure. Thank you, sir, for your call. Always enjoy hearing from you, and some good, thoughtful questions there. Let us go to our other pal out in the further northeast, Captain Mike himself.
Fellas, how do? Captain Mike from Bad Fodder Figures here. What's your question this week? Something about 30 years in handheld systems. Well, let me tell you, fellas, I've been scouring the Tower of Power much longer than 30 years. Game Boy handheld system. You get what I mean there? I'm not sure. Maybe that went over your heads. Anyway,
no, it didn't.
I was always partial to the Vita. Sad to see Sony not really endorse that all that well. Maybe a missed opportunity. I don't know. I certainly think the indies took advantage of it, but not too much first-party content.
Good point.
Other than that, I haven't dabbled too much in the handheld business. I got the Switch now, and that's pretty good. 3DS is fine as well. But nothing like the old Scour Tower of Power. Beating the Bishop. Flogging the Molly. Anyways, gentlemen, adios. Take care.
Beating the Bishop plug. I've never heard that before. Oh, Mike, you are a sick bastard. I love you. Yeah, it's, oh man, how do you go on from there? I did have a 3DS. I have no idea what happened to it, but I loved my 3DS. I did not get a Switch yet. I say every podcast, so I might as well keep it going. I got to get a Switch. All right. So that is it for the voicemails. We do have one on Twitter from the great RoboPig, head of our games Good for Gaming crew, charity group. And Dave responded with Tetris, of course. Still in it as it sits on my desk, and the crappy lights to illuminate the screen on it so you could play when it was dark. Yeah, and I had responded to him, I always feel like Tetris doesn't get quite the credit that it should as being one of the biggest games that got non-gamers into gaming. Like, my dad, he wouldn't go near a Nintendo, but when Tetris came out, I couldn't get him off the goddamn thing. Like, Dad, this is my Nintendo. Fuck off. But yeah, I mean, that was one of the first games I remember my dad getting into. Like, people that I knew that weren't gamers were really getting into Tetris. Even friends of his. I remember friends that he used to hang out with, like the wife who, again, nowhere near a gamer, never played games, but she'd be sitting there with the Game Boy at barbecues, just, working her way through Tetris. So funny. Let us hop over to the save point. And we'll see everybody's response there. We got a couple of comments here for that. My beautiful wife, Amber, said, hands down, my favorite is Super Mario Land. But a close second she said, a close second is Kid Icarus of Myths and Monsters. I forgot about that one.
Yeah.
Oh, that was a great one, too. I had that. That was one of the games my uncle got me, and I loved the Nintendo game of it, but, Yeah, the Game Boy game. I would say the Game Boy game was even better. Kid Icarus was great on the Game Boy.
I agree.
I also had Metal Gear on the Game Boy. That was awesome.
Wait, Metal Gear was on the Game Boy?
There was a Metal Gear on the Game Boy.
Oh man, I totally missed that.
Yeah, that's one definitely worth checking out. Troy Games, our pal Troy said, because we're asking, what memorable memories of Game Boy did you have or whatever. Troy goes, my mom making us return it because she heard somewhere that it was bad for your eyes.
No, that was the Virtual Boy.
Yeah,
that thing makes your eyes bleed, man.
I think mom got confused with the wrong system there, Troy. Adrian said playing Tetris in the bathroom. Ha ha. And our buddy Al Vogue that joined the cast one time, he co-hosted with us on an old episode, said Link's Awakening, having all the Mario cameos, blew my mind as a kid.
Oh yeah, that was a classic.
I never played that.
Really? You never played Link's Awakening?
I did not. And I've heard...
man.
I know, I've heard I really missed out there.
Yeah, it like if there was a way to like retro play it somehow, like on PC or something, or even like the Nintendo platform. I don't know. Do they have Game Boy just downloadable for on the Nintendo platform?
I don't think. I could be wrong because I don't have a Switch. That'd be a question for my brother-in-law. I don't know if they do Game Boy games in there.
Oh man,
like Nintendo.
That would be the one to absolutely get because
really,
I put it up there with the Super Nintendo version.
All right, I might have to. I'm gonna have to check that out.
Link to the Past, yeah. So Link to the Past was the Super Nintendo. Link's Awakening. I want to say they were tied into each other, but I don't know. Maybe Lorehounds could, better figure that out.
Yeah,
but
correct.
Yeah, like I put it on that same caliber level as the Super Nintendo version.
Yeah. All right. Yeah. Anybody that has the lore on that, throw it in the save point. Let us know. But again, if you want to call our voicemail line, either to say hi or answer the question of the bye week, that's 610-810-1654. That will do it for the question of the bye week. And as such, that will actually bring us to the end of this episode. And so now we go into conclusions, final thoughts, and shout-outs. Nick, anything you want to promote or anyone you want to shout out?
Yeah, so this weekend, it's actually going on right now, but it's called Operation Supply Drop as part of 8-Bit Salute. It's a great charity fundraiser. Basically, they work with active duty troops and bringing entertainment to them in the field because, basically games and whatnot aren't part of the military budget. So,
yeah, I guess not.
It's a great program, and it also has a lot of reintegration programs for retired and discharged troop members.
Oh, very good.
So it's going on. We're doing. They kind of do various things. So this is the World of Warships tie-in, Torpedoes for the Troops, and I'll be streaming that as part of that tomorrow at 7 a.m. to 10 a.m. as my block. But it's going on all weekend, so it's a great charity to give to, support the troops, and really great organization.
That's awesome, man. I'll have to stop by your stream tomorrow and say hello.
Yeah, absolutely.
Granted, by the time you guys hear this, it'll already be over, but as of about 45 minutes ago, Lori and Corey Cole, who we interviewed 2 episodes back now, creators of Quest for Glory, are actually live streaming themselves playing Quest for Glory for the next for the next 6 hours. So I'm going to probably do that while I'm downloading Sea of Thieves, pop in and say hello to them, and obviously say thank you again for hanging out with us. But yeah, so if you're hearing this, you probably already knew about it. If you didn't, it's over now. But yeah, good luck, guys. I hope the stream goes great tonight. Other than that, big shout out to the fans and everybody that keeps downloading and spreading the word. I am in the process of getting some more interviews set up, reaching out to some people. I'll actually say names as we get closer, and I actually have some confirmations. But yeah, some good stuff in the books that I'm getting pretty excited about. Other than that, a big shout out to our pals at the Everyday Gamers. I think they are putting up an episode really soon. They had recorded recently, so I'm very excited to hear them back in the saddle again. Big shout out to the boys over at Bad Fodder Figures. Captain Mike, thanks for calling in. Your wisdom is hilarious as always. Yeah, they are a fantastic podcast. They're one of my favorites, and I always look forward to it every week. Another one that I'm getting hooked on, I can't say every week, because Los, my brother, I don't know how often you guys put them out. They're kind of irregular, but they're definitely worth jumping on, and that is the Future Monkeys. You've probably already, if you listen to the podcast regularly, we've gotten a couple calls from Los, who is their host, and they're a very good podcast. Him and Beardy McWhiskey and Scary are very knowledgeable gamers, and Lego enthusiasts. They're just really
nice.
interesting people. Yeah, very cool people. It's a great podcast, and they're really funny. And they're doing a contest right now. I think it's actually coming down to the end, but they did a contest called the Pile of Shame contest, and that was going through your backlog and beating games, and then whoever got did the most on their pile of shame would win a prize this month. So that's the kind of fun stuff they do. It's definitely worth giving a listen. They're great bunch. Other than that will end it for us this week. If you want to hang out with us, you can catch us on the Save Point. That's our Facebook group. That is like a book club for games. That's at tiny.cc/savepoint. You can email us, theretrorents@gmail.com. We are on Twitter. The podcast account is at theretrorents. You can reach me at retrorentsal. You can reach Nick at Black Eagle Ops, and Travis at SodaXBread. On Twitch, we are all on Twitch as well. Again, RetroRentsAl for me, Kibis for Kyle, Black Eagle Ops for Nick, and SodaXBread for Travis. And that, as they say, is that the end of another great episode, and the start of another Saturday night. I gotta make my call to the Bad Fodder Figures. Oh boy, I don't want to miss out. Other than that, people, have fun. Have another great week. We will catch you soon. Keep gaming. Don't be dicks. Have a good whatever. Peace.